this is completely out of control, and we're getting numbers that we've never seen before. Roxham Road is now known worldwide as being the hole to get in by illegal immigration in Canada, and this needs to stop. It's not everybody who's going to try to walk 3-4 kilometers in the forest where they don't know where they're going in the winter, if that border was closed. But now, as you know, they've installed everything to facilitate people to cross over to Canada. It's like a border right now, even if it's illegal. And I think that's going to send a signal. For sure, the public authorities in the US will stop funding those people. The people who are crossing people illegally are going to expose themselves much more if we fight back and we push back on that issue as well.
Alexa Lavoie for Urban News, and today I have Éric Duhaime here to talk about the huge problem of illegal immigration on the Roxham Road in Quebec. I will come back to this in a moment, but don't forget to go and sign our petition at stoptraffickingtocanada.com and send a message in the same time to the mayor of New York, Eric Adams, to stop helping migrants to cross illegally into Canada. But first of all, allow me to tell you about Éric Duhaime, a politician, radio host in Quebec, and new leader of the Conservative Party of Quebec since April 2021. In the last election campaign, the Conservative Party of Quebec took an incredible step forward. A party that did not exist before and won 1% of the vote in the 2018 election and saw an unimaginable growth of 12.91%, or more than 530,000 votes in 2022. Despite that huge performance, the party won no seat in the National Assembly. This affected not only their visibility, but also the voice of hundreds of thousands of Quebecers they represent. During the pandemic, the CPQ has grown from 500 members to more than 60,000 members in a very short period of time. Now it is the party that has the most active membership in Quebec. Despite Mr. Duhaime's lack of seat in the House of Commons, or Blue Chamber for Quebecers, he is committed to making a difference. Today, he is looking at the obvious problem of Roxham Road and illegal immigration. This dirty road, 50 kilometers south of Montreal, has become a real human sieve. People who come from around the world by private van, taxi, and even buses gather in the funnel, which is Roxham Road. Last year, more than 39,000 migrants crossed this irregular route, which means that Quebec received more illegal migrants than legal ones. The system is being pressurized. The taxpayers are being wiped out by exorbitant costs of all this illegal activity. Mr. Duhaime recently wrote a letter to Premier François Legault reiterating the urgency to act. And I quote, "It is not the Americans who must protect our borders, but ourselves. The city of New York is currently funding the transportation of migrants across Roxham Road. Network of smugglers are also getting richer on the back of these people in search of a better future. The time has come to act, so I repeat my request that we take a day as quickly as possible so that we all, the 5 party leaders in Quebec, let's go together and meet the Quebec leaders and caucuses of the federal political parties in the House of Commons in Ottawa. Now, me and Mr. Duhaime, we are discussing it together."
Yeah, I went at Roxham Road 2 days ago. What I saw is what everybody who went lately saw. It's even worse now than ever. I saw within less than an hour over 20 people crossing illegally our borders. And we know that currently there's over 200 people per day that are crossing over, which means that for Quebec alone, we're going to get this year more illegal immigrants coming from Roxham Road than all the immigrants coming through the legal means all across our other borders. It makes absolutely no sense. If a country is serious about immigration policies, the first thing is to make sure that everything is done legally. And they can't pretend it's not illegal. I mean, it's written this big in front when you cross over that you're going to do something illegal by crossing in Canada somewhere else than a border. You know, there is in Quebec a consensus. If you look at the polls, a huge majority of Quebecers are against illegal immigration. All the political parties in Quebec, the 5 main parties, are against it. So what I proposed today to the Premier, François Legault, I said, let's go the 5 political leaders together to Ottawa as a delegation, as a common front, and let's tell Justin Trudeau and all the other parties and all the other parliamentarians in our House of Commons that we do not accept it, and they need to shut down the Roxham Road ASAP. I know that Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the Conservative Party in Ottawa, already gave a deadline. He said that within 30 days, they need to shut it down, and that could bring some momentum. I think there's a great momentum right now. There's a unanimous consent on that issue among the political class in Quebec. Now it's time to show it to the rest of Canada, because I think this issue has been Quebecer for 5-6 years now, since Justin Trudeau in January 2017 wrote that all people, who wanted a new home and who are immigrants and who are fleeing terror are more than welcome to Canada. Unfortunately, he didn't say that they should do it legally. And since then, it's been booming. And now, because we have too many in Quebec, many of them are sent back in other provinces right now. And that's becoming a problem as well in other parts of Canada. So I know that in English Canada, many people are now discovering the huge problem we have in Quebec because it's coming to their own backyard. And this is why it needs to stop. It's not more acceptable if we ship them in Ontario than if they stay in Quebec. Illegal immigration should be forbidden, period.
With your action of all the 5 leaders of the party in Quebec, you want to go to Ottawa, but what is the impact and the result you expect from it?
Well, I hope that all the parliamentarians, first off, will agree to meet us. I think it's going to make a lot of noise. I hope that it's going to have an effect in other provinces where other leaders of other political parties all across Canada will also come out and say this is unacceptable. I also hope that Mr. Trudeau stops saying that, he's been against it and he does something serious about it. He has the power to do it. When he says that he has an agreement with the US and he's trying to negotiate and it's difficult, sorry, but this is BS. I mean, we know that Canada's borders are protected by Canadians. It's not Joe Biden's role as US president to protect our borders. It's not a foreign government that is supposed to protect our own borders. It's us as Canadians, and the leadership needs to come from the Prime Minister's office. But first off, and unfortunately, that's not happening. There's no leadership in Ottawa on that issue right now, and they're trying to, just to use an agreement we have with the U.S. But the Article 10.3 of the agreement specifically says that we could suspend it whenever we want, and that's exactly what we need to do right now to make sure that we take back control of our immigration in our country.
For the other province, can you just explain what is the situation in Quebec because of this illegal immigration? Because right now, they don't know what is the big impact that can happen to them.
Just to give you an idea, in 2022 alone, there was 40,000 migrants who crossed over illegally at Roxham Road and who are currently mainly in Montreal. When they cross over illegally, the RCMP welcomes them. They take them, they put them in a shuttle, they send them to hotels in Montreal. They get a social assistance check. They get the free hotel, free food, all paid for by taxpayers. And I'm not blaming the immigrants, by the way. I'm blaming the government that has put in place that system. And it's costing us a fortune. Those people have to wait for years because there's a huge backlog, and it's going to be even worse because now the numbers are increasing this year. So it was 2 years. It's going to be 3 or 4 years within a very near future. So those people cannot even work. They're costing us a fortune. We already have a shortage of housing in Quebec right now. It's just exacerbating a crisis that already exists, and it creates tensions regarding immigration because people see that and say that it makes no sense. But those, this does not represent everything about immigration. Immigration is positive for our country. We're all sons and daughters of immigrants at a certain extent. That's not the issue. The problem is that the fact that it's illegal, the fact that they can't work, it creates a tension between Quebecers and those people coming in that shouldn't. And that's been exacerbated by the governments, and it needs to stop. I mean, and now it's happening in Quebec, but it's going to be in Ontario. It's going to be elsewhere in Canada very soon, because now they're shipping them outside of Quebec because we have no capacity anymore. The other problem we have is that all those costs are paid for by our provincial government, because those people need healthcare, they need the kindergartens, they need schools, they need all sorts of services that are provided by provincial governments. And now we're having arguments with Ottawa to get reimbursed. But at the end of the day, as taxpayers, as Canadian taxpayers, as Quebec taxpayers, we're paying for everything anyway. So I understand there's a battle between governments on who's going to pay, but the problem is not where the check comes from. The problem is that there's illegal immigration coming way too much in Canada right now.
Mm-hmm. And what would be your response to the people who say, but anyway, if we close Roxham Road, another road will just open next to it?
It's true that even if we close Roxham Road, there could be illegal immigration elsewhere. There's always been in our Canadian history and always will, because we have the largest border of two countries in the world. So it's kind of normal that some people try to cross over illegally. The problem is not that. The problem is now it's structured, it's organized, it's even funded by public funds for certain cases. This is completely out of control, and we're getting numbers that we've never seen before. Roxham Road is now known worldwide as being the hole to get in by illegal immigration in Canada, and this needs to stop. It's not everybody who's going to try to walk 3-4 kilometers in the forest where they don't know where they're going in the winter if that border was closed. But now, as you know, they've installed everything to facilitate people to cross over to Canada. It's like a border right now, even if it's illegal. And I think that's going to send a signal. For sure, the public authorities in the US will stop funding those people. The people who are crossing people illegally are going to expose themselves much more if we fight back and we push back on that issue as well.
Why do you think that Justin Trudeau is not listening all the like right now, François Legault and others saying we need to do something, we need to stop this, and it don't seems to do anything?
It's very interesting, your question. Why is Mr. Trudeau doing nothing? It's the same question I have when I see what's going on with the Chinese intrusion in our politics in Canada. How come he's attacking the CSIS and the intelligence in Canada, who's revealing the infractions of the Chinese and the communists in Canada and Canadian politics, instead of attacking the government, the communist government that is responsible for that? It's very surprising. It's even worse when he says, "Oh, it's China bashing. It's the Chinese community that you're attacking." We're not attacking the Chinese community at all. We're attacking a foreign government who's hostile to our government, who's trying to interfere in our democracy from an undemocratic regime. And the same thing is true on Roxham Road. Why is Mr. Trudeau tolerating something illegal for years? Even worse than that, he's been exacerbating the tensions. He's the one who actually started the whole thing to explode and to boom. Is he doing it for votes? I hope not. I hope is he calculating that, I don't know what, there's 2 million Chinese in Canada. Maybe if I say a few things on China that are nice to the Chinese communists, I could get a few votes here. Is that fact that I'm going to leave the illegal borders open, I'm going to get more popular among certain communities across Canada on the eve of the election? I hope it's not a partisan stand to get a few votes here and there, because he's doing it, against the interests of all Canadians. And that's what's concerning right now, is that we feel that, there's a partisan aspect to it that is taking over instead of the interest of all Canadians. And that's very concerning for us all.
Since you touched the topic, we know that Justin Trudeau did admit that he admire China for the dictatorship. And now we know that China did interfere with our election, and we know also a lot about China as Hydro-Québec with the spy. What is your thought on first of all, what was your reaction to hear that, and what is your thought?
Well, I think the normal reaction to any Canadian or Quebecer right now is to say we need an independent public inquiry. There's been way too many allegations. The intelligence information that came out in the Globe and Mail first is very concerning about 12 members of Parliament that have been helped by the Chinese communists. It's very, very, very concerning. The fact that Mr. Trudeau did nothing, even if he knew the information, he needs to answer a few questions on that one. Now then, we found out also that the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation got money from the Chinese government. And now that they've been caught and it's been released publicly, they're reimbursing the Chinese for accepting money from them. There is a huge problem, and we know it's not new. His father was very close to China, as you recall. Why is he so close to the Chinese government? Are Canadian interests at stake? That's all questions that a public inquiry could answer. And hopefully now that all the political parties except the Liberal Party of Canada are in favor of a public inquiry, I hope it's going to come sooner than later.
We need to take action right now because it seems that the federal government of Mr. Justin Trudeau is not going to take any action. So you can do so at our website, stoptraffickingtocanada.com. You can sign the petition, but also you can send a message to Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, to stop helping migrants to come illegally in Canada. So go right now to stoptraffickingtocanada.com, share it, and don't forget to sign it. Thank you.